your back, you scratch mine.
I don't want to scratch your back, David.
I'm interested to see what happens, man. I mean, this TSG specifically came all the way from the qualifiers, man. These guys have worked very hard to get to where they are at this point. A lot more games than the normal players in this bracket. But that being said, I don't know. This RMD has proven themselves, and they're getting better each and every week. But here we go.
Yeah, it's a pretty explosive matchup. You're going to look for what the RMD picks as their strategy. If they go after Adellah, they're going to be focusing crowd control on Lyrics and Vellido. It depends on what they decide to go with. Already a sap onto Vellido. Bladestorm coming out from Lyrics to try and pull him out of stealth. Paralyzed into Double Fear. Diffusing the opener quite well here as Vellido did get cloned up. He's going to desecrate ground. Stormbolt onto Taz. Pressure onto Driftingz. They want to stop him from crowd controlling Adellah. He goes into the full blind. He's going to trinket that, desperately healing Lyrics as he's taking so much damage from the adrenaline rush here. And the double Ice Nova out from Driftingz at 50% HP. Now into a Frostjaw. Polymorph being casted. He's still spamming the Soothing Mist, trying to fake the counterspell. I just can't, and Lyrics is still getting punished so hard.
Yeah, but Adellah didn't really have to use anything in the opener besides trinketing the blind, which is a pretty efficient trade, which is nice. Driftingz still the target of choice for this TSG. They're trying to get something out of him. They haven't gotten anything out of Taz or Driftingz right now. Still trying to get that first block from him. We're going to look at Adellah's cooldowns right now. He's pulling back behind the pillar, and he still has everything ready to go. Put into that deep freeze. Driftingz trying to get out the polymorph onto him, but he's going to get interrupted on that, and because of that, Adellah's just going to throw out that monk bubble, and Lyrics is going to be completely fine.
Yeah, it was a great answer to the killing spree, just matching cooldown for cooldown. Taz looks like he wants to push up for a clone. Lyrics isn't going to let him. He goes right onto him, so he's got that pummel available to try and stop the Cyclone, but he's going to go into the kidney. Taz is available now to push up and possibly get some crowd control. Polymorphs onto Vellido. Taz going for a Cyclone now as well. I believe he Dark Simmed it. He trinkets it, throws the clone back onto Taz. Deep Freeze onto Adellah, though. They need to stop this Frostjaw. Lyrics leaps over and pummels it, and he gets shut down very hard. Adellah spamming out the heals. Defensive Stormbolt onto Driftingz, just completely stopping him from crowd controlling Adellah, who's now repositioned to the opposite pillar, trying to line of sight Taz here. He's just in the center spamming clones. He does go into a fear here. It's DR'd, unfortunately, from the stolen clone. Drifting taking a lot of damage at 24% HP. The Recklessness forcing the ice block there and the cold snap. Now a leg sweep onto Taz. They're just going to swap over. He barkskins at 60%. He's still taking an immense amount of damage. Fortunately, Lyrics getting rooted up and Adellah getting swapped. He's going to have to use the Life Cocoon to answer this pressure.
Yeah, he's just going to use that Chi Torpedo and try to pick himself off behind the pillar. Pick himself up, pardon me. It should be quite easy for him. Puts Unafraid into the end cap and Chi Torpedoes away to safety. If they're going to continue to go on Adellah, I mean, they're working through his cooldowns quite nicely. There comes the Fortifying Brew out of him to answer that killing spree, and he's going to be able to tank this damage. The Driftingz is having a really hard time to connecting to Adellah, pardon me, with Vidilo life gripping him, or sorry, death gripping him back, and Lyrics charge stunning him. But Unafraid slowly working through these cooldowns. If we look, Adellah only really has his trinket left. He's going to have Monk Bowl up in like another 30 seconds. But other than that, that's all he really has left.
Yeah, he's cutting back and forth between each pillar, using that portal, now putting Unafraid into a full leg sweep, possibly a paralyze out of that, going for some Manatee now. He's basically just 1v1ing Unafraid on these pillars. Drifting's finally getting in, but he's just going to get gripped back, like you're saying. Lyrics sitting this full blind. He didn't have his trinket, unfortunately. Now into a half clone, 3v1 onto Adellah, but he's positioned very well. Lyrics is peeling Drifting's to prevent him from getting to Adellah as well. He's still dipping fairly low, now into a full Garrote Silence. He might possibly have to trinket the next full kidney. He throws it to Paralyze. I'm not sure if he broke it or he vanished it there, but it didn't work out for him. The double Ice Nova is going to come. He portals to the opposite side of the pillars, but Drifting's right on his tail here, instantly reconnecting. Double Fear from Lyrics should buy Adellah the time he needs to top off.
Yeah, he's just using those Chi Torpedoes and his Transcendence port to go from pillar to pillar, and it's like we were saying, it's really hard for Driftingz to actually connect on him, and that's part of the reason it's a nightmare to train down a monk. They might want to consider switching over to the DPS, but they haven't really been able to get too much rolling whatsoever. Unafraid getting targeted down using that evasion. Taz now caught into the full in-cap. Adellah might leg sweep him out of that. He does. Unafraid had evasion up, so he didn't get caught by that leg sweep there, so that was fortunate for him. Definitely Driftingz taking a lot of damage, down to 50% HP. The Iron Bar coming out from Taz onto Driftingz, and Adellah is just going to once again port to safety.
I believe Vellido stole Polymorph there, so he's waiting for the diseases to fall off of Taz and then possibly go for a full poly. He's put into another Polymorph. Unfortunately, he's not able to use it just yet. Now into a full cycle, and he trinkets it, throws the poly onto Taz finally. There's a kidney shot onto Lyrics, but his DR'd. Driftingz gets grip back, but he can just blink away from Vellido, kite away, get a new Water Elemental out, and get that on-demand damage. But the Pillar of Frost still being blown with that Asphyxiate CC chain onto Taz. He's going to get rooted and polyed once again, just unable to connect. Adëllah can't afford to dispel him. He has to line of sight Driftingz, or he risks dying. Unafraid is getting punished very hard though by Lyrics. He's popping the Adrenaline Rush. He gets leg swept on. He's going to trinket that, go for the killing spree, try and kill Adellah right now through the Life Cocoon. Now into a DR Cheap Shot. They cut through the Life Cocoon. He pops the Aura Mastery. Cheat Torpedoes to the center of the map. I would assume he's going to portal back immediately as he does, but they're right on his tail. He blinks in. He gets gripped back though. Unafraid still putting out some pressure. Deep Freeze defensively onto Vellido. Mastered onto Lyrics. He's using the Master Reflect to try and stop some CC. Asphyxiate stun combo. Stormbolt onto Unafraid here. Lyrics trying to take him down by himself. Vellido and Lyrics splitting their DPS quite well right now. Taz is having a hard time.
Yeah, absolutely. Taz just uses Trinket as well. Adellah now caught into the full kidney shot, deciding to use his Trinket on that. I believe he still has a Life Cocoon if he needs it. Transcendence port away once again, and Driftingz is just trying so hard, just CCing Vellido and Lyrics, waddling over as slowly as he can to Adellah, trying to get any sort of damage out. Finally, Blazing speeds in and gets gripped back immediately, and now that he's on Adellah, Adellah's just going to run away. And meanwhile, Unafraid getting caught in that Stormbolt, taking a lot of damage, and this RMD really isn't able to make too much happen. Taz caught into that full Asphyxia right now. Driftingz is a target of choice. Both Unafraid and Driftingz in a lot of trouble. Driftingz having to use that block. He has another one available after Hypothermia, but Unafraid taking a lot of damage as well. Also has to use that evasion. Meanwhile, Lyrics using that Enrage Regeneration and getting the Life Cocoon from Adellah, who is caught into that Deep Freeze Sheep Blind. And he has no Trinket available, but that Life Cocoon is going to negate all the damage and coming onto Lyrics there.
Yeah, Vellido's doing a good job stealing CC and always using it with his Asphyxiate to chain it together. Lyrics is still taking a lot of pressure, though. Frostjaw onto Adellah. Driftingz blinks away, throws down the Comet Storm, trying to pressure Lyrics even harder. Adellah pops the Aura Mastery to heal right here. Kidney Shot, Taz going for a full clone. The Smoke Bomb comes down. Adellah ports away from the clone. Unfortunately, the Smoke Bomb's still down. He desperately runs into it, but he gets deep frozen. The Master Reflect comes up to deny the CC. They're trying to kill Unafraid right now. He doesn't have any defensive cooldowns left in the tank at 35% HP. He's still getting destroyed right now. Lyrics at the same time dipping at 50% HP. Taz just spamming regrowth after regrowth after regrowth. Genesis healing so inefficiently. His mana's going to get tapped here if he keeps having to heal like this. Although Lyrics got put into the full kidney with his Die by the Sword up. The Life Cocoon's going to connect though, giving him a little bit more time to output some damage. He charges onto Driftingz. He's going to force the block there. They're trying to save Taz's mana for now. Unafraid still with no preps, just going for the killing spree, going to end the game to the best of his ability. He's Heroic Leap in. He's going to fear Taz, preventing the Cyclone onto Adellah. The Rallying Cry used as well, but now a cheap shot. Master Reflect comes out. He's going to Ice Lance the Master Reflect out. Go for the counterspell, but he missed the counterspell. Adellah can just free heal Lyrics now, and Taz is so far on the back foot.
Yeah, absolutely. Taz is almost actually. And if we look, it's already 15% dampening, only 20% mana. This game isn't going to go much longer. This RMD has to make something happen. Driftingz in a lot of trouble, though. He doesn't have another Ice Block for another minute. Unafraid down to 30% HP. Taz trying desperately to top off his team, trinketing that Asphyxiate from Vellido, spamming out the regrowth, but Lyrics just going to swap over onto him and prevent him from getting out any of those efficient casts. Going back onto Driftingz. Basically, the CSG is just doing damage, doing as much damage as possible, trying to shut down CC. And they know if they can get this game to last a little bit longer, Taz is just going to run out of mana, and there's nothing he can do.
Yeah, he's going for a drink right now, but he's dotted up. He's going to get pulled out of stealth. I think Lyrics sees this, but he can't go in. Vellido's trying to stop it with the Death and Decay. He does manage to snipe him and stop the drink, but he got a significant chunk of mana, getting at least 20% there. He's going for some Cyclones now onto Vellido. I believe the blind was intervened by Lyrics there, so good play by Lyrics to intervene the blind. Adellah's not going to have to trinket now. Asphyxiate onto Taz. He did get the Nature Swiftness up prior to it. There's no Ice Blocks available for 20 seconds. Drifting's very afraid right now. Into Execute range, blinks away. Taz is desperately trying to pick him up. The Stampeding Roar to give him a little bit more mobility. Throws down the Frozen Orb just to kite. Ice Nova roots just to get away. He's going to escape with that play. The Polymorph got stolen by Vellido. He can throw the Polymorph full onto Taz and maybe take Driftingz down. He's only got an 8-second window to do so. The Full Fear onto Taz. Cold Snap coming up in 3 seconds. Lyrics now on the back foot. Haven't used Die by the Sword, but he puts Unafraid into a full Stormbolt. He's still in the stun right now. 20%. Ironbark is up. It's not going to be enough. Faints at 5%, but Lyrics with the turnaround, just crushing Unafraid, and Armonk sucks, just owning.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. The pressure never ended, man. The TSG did what they needed to do. They did a great job, you know, stopping the momentum of that CC, and it paid off.
Yeah, I think what they need to do is just not waste so much time on Adëllah. They just need to focus all their efforts into CCing Adëllah and target down Lyrics. That's when they had the most success. We saw it time and time again when Unafraid was on Adëllah. Driftingz just couldn't get there.
Yeah.
He uses Blink and Blazing Speed to get in. Adëllah can just port away, and then he has no way to reconnect at all. It's just really hard for him to get consistent damage out and really help Unafraid kill him. So they might want to consider a strategy change.
So, a strategy change like going on to Lyrics, is there a specific map that strategy would work better on? Because it is their map choice now.
I'm not sure about a specific map.
Alright, we did get a subscriber, Z Mango. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate that, giving you the GCD, yes. The next map that Chaz is choosing, of course, the trusty Tiger's Peak. A very familiar, no, he's actually saying no, so he's going to decline that. What map is he going to bring us to? He's actually going to bring us to Tolvaron. Tolvaron Arena. Huh, interesting. So on Tolvaron Arena, is there a good port path for the monk? Is there a good strategy for the monk to get away via porting, or is it one of those maps where the Mistweaver monk's a bit vulnerable?
No, I think he can. Actually, something a lot of monks do now is they actually, instead of putting their port behind the pillar, they put it in front. And then what they do is they hide behind the pillar, and when they need to escape, they just port in front of it and use a couple chi torpedoes to cross the entire map. And it can be really difficult to chase them that way. I think with this map choice, though, they're probably not going to go on Adëllah. They're going to force Lyrics and Vellido to overextend and force Adëllah to get off the pillar and toss heals. And if they can get interrupts on Adëllah and have Lyrics and Vellido in the open, it could be difficult for Adëllah to actually top them off.
Yeah, I think the open field benefits Driftingz a lot more than a close-quartered map. I would have maybe expected Rinzalorum, but there is a really good cutting path on that map. It's not the same translation to this map. It's pretty straightforward. You put your port behind the pillar, you run to the center of the map, and you go back and rinse and repeat if they decide to go on you. But I don't think they're going to do that, as Ben was saying. I imagine that they're going to go after the DPS. Maybe be a little bit more reckless with their cooldowns. I think it's appropriate. They need to make them overuse cooldowns. The sap onto Vellido. Pet Nova comes out. Kidney shot, double Abyss already onto Lyrics with the Adrenaline Rush and Shadow Reflection. Full poly onto Adëllah. Unfortunately, it broke to the Comet Storm, so a misplaced Comet Storm going to break the CC chain up. Adëllah should be able to heal him just fine. Ironbark forced from Taz here very early on to answer the Pillar of Frost damage coming out from Vellido.
You need to be really careful about those Comet Storms. That was kind of a botched opener, like you were saying, and that now has them on the back foot. Whereas if he actually got that Polymorph into Polymorph, it could have been completely different. Driftingz down to 40% HP, actually getting locked down on Polymorph at the moment. He's pulling back, but they're not able to really make too much happen. The full kidney shot onto Lyrics at the moment. But Unafraid taking more damage than he is, actually. Taz sitting there spamming out those regrowths, getting out as much healing as possible, time to top off Driftingz and Unafraid. But Taz is already at 60% mana. This is a very mana-intensive fight for both teams. Driftingz pushing in to get that CC onto Adëllah, but he's going to get in-capped on it. Adellah's just going to run away. And now that Adellah's pushed in, Lyrics is deciding to swap over onto him, knowing that he doesn't have really any way to kite at this point.
Oh, he died by the sword, the kidney shot, and immune the stun. Great play from Lyrics to prevent himself from getting stun locked there, as Adëllah is getting CC chained currently. A clone got stolen and thrown onto Taz, now into a paralyzed. Good CC chain out of the TSG. The Reckless is coming out with the Pillar of Frost at the same time. Driftingz in desperation mode, kiting away here, going for some defensive polymorph, so he's going to get locked out on that. Taz trying to spam the regrowth. He's going to have to trinket that stun to continue healing Driftingz here. He doesn't want to have to use an Ice Block. The Life Cocoon in the meantime got forced onto Lyrics, but he's going to get cloned up, denying any of that absorb. Drifting getting chunked, going to block the Cold Snap used as well. Taz getting dipped on mana. Adëllah sitting comfortably at 70%. A full fear now onto Taz, drifting on Hypothermia. Blazing speeding away. Taz finally leaving CC, but a Stormbolt onto Unafraid. This TSG is not afraid to just hit whatever they can.
Yeah, they just need constant pressure. They need to have this RMD force back, but whenever they can get on Driftingz, it is ideal for shutting down damage as well as CC. Adëllah caught into that defreeze now. Driftingz trying to go for the follow-up CC, but Vellido on his back as well as Lyric using that Master Reflect is going to make it very difficult for him. Unafraid still has Lyrics as the target of choice. They're trying to slowly work him down, but Unafraid caught into that Stormbolt, down to 50% HP. Now Adellah caught into the full Polymorph. They're trying to make something happen onto Lyrics. Adellah still has no trinket for another 12 seconds. Lyrics bullying that Rallying Cry as well as that Enrage Regeneration. The Monk Cocoon going to come out from Adellah before he gets corroded there, and because of that, Lyrics is going to be completely fine. The Iron Bar coming up from Taz onto Driftingz, as well as the NS going to top him off through this damage, but Lyrics still in a little bit of trouble. Adellah wasn't able to get out much healing there through that Life Cocoon, and now the offensive clone coming out from Taz onto Lyrics. He's in a lot of trouble. Adellah's in the full Polymorph. He does have Trinket available, but Lyrics just going to push back, play as defensive as possible, the Stormbolt onto Unafraid, and he's just going to kite out this CC onto Adellah and save Adellah's Trinket.
Yeah, Vellido got a nice CC chain asphyxiate into a stolen polymorph onto Taz, which is pressuring Driftingz lower and lower. Taz spamming out the regrowth. He has to heal very inefficiently because he's constantly falling behind from those really long CC chains. Driftingz got to look better out for those dark sims and fake them because it's putting Taz too far behind. Now the Stampeding Roar coming out to try and help Driftingz kite. He's going to blink along with the sprint. He's going to get stunned at the end of his blink, though. He's going to have to sit in that half stun. Bladestorm coming out now from Lyrics, trying to put the pressure onto Driftingz with that full fear at 20%. It's going to force the second block. Full kidney onto Lyrics. He's got to be a little bit careful here. I believe that he was in D-stance. He has the regen heal up, so he's going to be okay as Adellah is sitting the polymorphs. Vellido is pressuring Unafraid, forcing the Iron Bark out, but that's not going to be available now for Driftingz, and he has no blocks left. Stormbolt onto Taz. He gets gripped on his blink. That should be GG. Paralyzed onto Taz. He has to trinket to paralyze just to get the NS regrowth off, and it's still not enough. 12% HP. Execute should come in here shortly if Lyrics can connect. He's desperately trying to get there and finish the job. Ice Nova Roots come in to prevent that. Taz spamming out Fairy Swarm as well as the Hots rolling onto Driftingz, and somehow, some way, he's still alive.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you have to use those Ice Novas defensively like that, it really kills your offensive pressure, and it becomes hard for you to actually turn around and hurt the other team, especially since that's like such a significant part of a Mage's damage. And now Taz is actually at 3% mana. Dampening hasn't even kicked in. He's completely Lyrics and Vellido need to pay attention, though. Taz is sitting down for a drink at the moment. They either need to kill Driftingz or they need to stop this drink, because Taz's mana is going to go completely full. Adellah getting CC quite a bit here right now, and he's finally going to stop, or Taz is going to finally stop that drink, push in Ironbark Driftingz and try to pick him up. But he got a lot of mana. The full sheep, though, from Vellido. He stole from Driftingz, puts it into Taz. Driftingz still in a little bit of trouble at the moment. Gets gripped in. Ironbark about to fade. The full asphyxiate onto Taz. He still has no trinket. Incap will probably come out of this. The polymorph, though, onto Adellah from Driftingz, denying that incap. Now Taz can actually get some healing onto Driftingz. Lyrics taking a little bit of damage still. He does have that fear available for the next time Taz is off diminishing returns. And there it is. He puts Taz into the full fear, and they're trying to get pressure to Unafraid right now, spamming out that feint. Driftingz now the target of choice, or Driftingz now the target of choice, pardon me, down to 50% HP at the moment, and this TSG just has all the momentum in their favor.
Yeah, and Driftingz trying to make a final attempt here, polymorphing the DPS, waiting for Taz to leave CC. Defensive smoke bomb coming out from Unafraid here. The Cloak of Shadows as well. He's going to heroic leap out of that. The Life Cocoon's going to get used here. That wasn't the killing spree coming out. There might be some potential here for weak Carry Unafraid to get a kill onto Lyrics. He has no trinket, no regen for 15 seconds, but they've got to be quick if they're going to do it. Life Cocoon is fading. Driftingz got to get in here and get the CC, but he's getting pressured so hard from Vellido, and he's just going to get gripped back if he blinks away. So they've got to find some way to coordinate this. They're trying to pull back, maybe drag Adellah across the map. Driftingz does get gripped. He's choosing to blink defensively, which is going to give time for Lyrics. He's got the regen heal up available now for the next stun lock. Asphyxiate onto Taz, pressure onto Driftingz as they reconnect. Finally, the full kidney, triple stun. Adellah's going to nimble. Desecrated Ground out from Vellido, trying to keep the pressure rolling, keep their team offensive. Drifting at 15%, has one more block available. In 1 more minute, he's going to actually have 2. Maybe they're just going to drag it out, wait for that safe moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something they could definitely do, but I think the longer the game goes, it's very difficult for them. Unafraid down to 40% HP. Taz caught into the DR asphyxiate leg sweep there from from Adellah, but Taz was actually able to get the NS and give Unafraid a huge heal before going into that leg sweep. Taz trying to get out some cyclones. He does get asphyxiated on that. Now into the full fear. He doesn't have his trinket available. He trinketed the leg sweep. Driftingz probably going to have to block here. Very close call, down to 18% HP. Now Taz finally out of CC, going to be able to hopefully top Driftingz off before he gets out of that ice block, but this team is still in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Heart of the Wall being blown from Taz here. Dampening's finally in at 13%. Killing Spree coming out on the Lyrics. He uses the regen heal. He has the die by the sword when he leaves this stun lock. He's spamming the shield barrier to absorb whatever damage he can. He gets the die by the sword up here. He should be able to survive. A stolen clone thrown back onto Taz, I believe. Vellido putting the pressure out onto Drifting. No block for 30 seconds. Ironbark came up before the stun, but he's caught in a Stormbolt. Finally able to blink out. Blazing speed to the center of the map in full retreat right now, waiting for that life cocoon to fade. They do manage to clone him up. Low HP, gonna wait for the absorb to fall. Adëllah's got to get some casts off. He's got to deal with the counterspell interrupt though as well. I believe that he fake casted it, so he should be able to heal just fine here on Lyrics. Still trying to LOS any possible CC. Full poly lands nonetheless though. Lyrics could be in trouble here. No trinket. He's playing defensive. He comes back onto Taz, trying to deny those cyclones. He's gonna Stormbolt him to guarantee that Adellah leaves that CC chain, can get these Aura Mastery heals and get him topped off.
And he surely will get him topped off with those Aura Mastery heals. Now Adellah into the full blind, which he decides to trinket immediately. He doesn't want to sit any more CC. He wants Lyrics to be able to go offensive. Right now, Vellido sitting on the back of Driftingz, actually hurting him significantly. He's down to 40% HP. The huge NS coming out from Tazzipoo is going to be able to top him off, but Unafraid in a little bit of trouble now. The full cheap shot on the Lyrics, though, they're trying to pressure him as much as possible. Adellah is getting those Soothing Mist heals off, though, so Lyrics should be completely fine. At the moment, the red buff Killing Spree coming out from Unafraid. Adellah's just going to decide to life cocoon that during the deep freeze to prevent any damage, and Driftingz just going to die. The in cap onto Tazzy there. He had no trinket available. I actually believe Driftingz might have had a block up there.
He got
at the
locked.
End. He got locked
on Frostjaw.
Locked on Frostjaw and put into the grave.
There it
Put
is,
into
man.
the dirt. Put into the dirt.
A 2-0 coming out from our Monk Sucks to TSG, and they will advance on. I mean, this qualifying team, man, is doing a phenomenal job in tournament number 13, taking down We Carry Unafraid. This team in the past was very successful in GCD tournaments, but there it is, and they will advance. Boom. All right. I believe the